So here's my attempt at drilling through the bolt. It was unsuccessful even with a grade 5 bolt, so the grade 8 bolt is completely out of the question. The ready rod appears to be soft enough, but it really messed the threads really mess up the drill bit, and it's a fairly small bit, so I don't want to break it. So what I've done is I've drilled a hole through the ready rod coupler. That's 3/8 all the way through, and I'll be able to drill the ready rod when it's mounted in here. The ready rod's a little softer, and I think what I'm going to end up doing is get the ready rod drilled, get it to line up properly with the hole, and the nut for the ready rod will just be the threaded portion, and we'll where do we have that? We used to have this vertical. We'll put a nut on the end of it. We'll have a nut inside. So that's going to give me the opportunity to fasten this down. The grade 8 bolts are simply too hard. The grade 5 bolts are pretty tough to drill. Maybe I'll try drilling it through here now that I've got a pilot hole that will keep the drill bit in place, and see whether I break the bit or whether it actually works. So using the nut coupler, I guess, for the 3/8 ready rod as a guide for the bolt did work. I'm not sure how much softer the ready rod is compared to the grade 5 bolt, but it worked better. I'm not going to say it worked, but I'm going to say it worked better. And you can see through there that there's the hole, and it pretty much lines up. So if I was to use this, cut it down, basically. The nut, not the grade 8 nut, the grade 8 bolt. When I get this tightened up, and that's where this hole would be drilled. And then that goes into the bottom part. And then we just go, instead of using these little screws, we just go straight through with a cotter pin, or a cotter pin probably. And then that would keep this on. It's just going to stick out the front and the back. That's not going to be a big deal for me because we have front and back here, front and back at the top, front and back on this side and this side, and that's 4 on this, 4 on the front, and then at the top we're going to do another 4 and another 4. So that's pretty much all of my connections, and I've got all 16 of the connections. Where the pin sticking out front and back is not going to be an issue for me. The only place that it might be a bit of an issue is on the one at the front here, where it meets up with the frame, because this vertical originally was going to fit in here, but I've offset it so it'll just fit like that, so I can put it across. That shouldn't get in the way at all. In fact, if I put them all across, horizontal or across from the side, left side and the right side of the car, and then top to bottom on this one. I don't know, front to back on this one will work. I think there's maybe one connection I'm going to have to do differently right at the front here, but 2 connections, I guess, 1 for each side, but and I can use these pins for one thing to if the pins are small enough to get into the hole, look at these pins. If these hex screws are small enough to fit inside, and they've actually been there's actually a hole drilled all the way through, I can get them flush with the front, then I don't have to worry about it at all. That's the plan. I gotta go buy a drill bit. I broke a couple of bits. So I got some grade 5 bolts. These ones. I can at least drill through them. And then instead of getting pins, I got star washers to case it with. Instead of getting pins to go through the sides, I got this little, which is just a little bit too big. I have to drill a slightly larger hole, and this fits through the slot here, and hopefully I can get it threaded through the aluminum tube through the holes that I'm drilling. So that instead of these two little pieces, we're going to actually have one bolt going all the way through, and for the two that are right up against the edge there, I'll just cut the bolt down a little, so it won't be as long. Most of them are going to have a little lock nut on them. These are just little nylon lock nuts. There's no tension on these, it has to be on here and screwed on hard enough to get the locking portion to work. Anyway, that's the modifications that we're doing right now. So the next size up from 1/8, which is 9/32, gets this bolt. I have enough room for a 632 screw, which is 1 inch long. You just slide through. What I'm going to do is use the next smallest size on the, which is 1/8, on the aluminum, so that the threads on the screw will be grabbing and cutting into the aluminum. These are stainless screws, just stainless metal screws, just because I didn't, I couldn't find the correct size and anything else. And I'm starting to wonder why I'm putting the nut with the slots in it, because it's just kind of the nut itself is getting in the way of the bolt getting into the slot. You can see there, you can go through the hole, but there is a bit of coverage on the nut. I've already broken 2 bits trying to make the slot in the nut wider. So I think I'm just going to drill holes in the bolts. I'm not sure how I'm going to get them to stay in position. I guess I'll have to use a nut both on top and below. But I'll just get this second bolt done, and then I'll spend some time playing around with the installation inside the aluminum and see how it works. Yet another drill bit that doesn't like how I drill, I guess. So here we have the bolt. It's a 1 inch, grade 5, 3/8. That one's actually a coarse thread, not a fine thread, but anyway, that's what I'm using. I will go through what I have to do to it in order to get a hole drilled in it and to get it mounted inside the frame. Just flatten out the threads there. Doesn't have to be very wide. Just use the narrow edge of the file. But that allows me to use the center punch to make a divot so that the drill has somewhere to guide to. And here we are. Second one's done. So got one side flat, Got the opposite side flat. Now we're going to take the these two edges. So this side's flat, that side's flat. We're going to take this this corner and this corner off so that it fits nicely inside the square aluminum tube. Oh, very difficult to see. You can see kind of a little divot there. That's what the drill bit is going to be locating to. This is a little drill press. Doesn't have very much power, but doesn't need it.